I had an affair with my brother's wife during his cancer treatment. He found the texts on his last day and died knowing the truth. I screwed my brother's wife while he was dying. He found out 23 hours before his heart stopped. That's how long he had to process it. 23 hours of reading our texts, seeing the photos, understanding that while he was vomiting blood from chemo, I was inside his wife in his bed. I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I don't deserve to breathe the same air as decent people. But I'm going to tell you exactly what I did, because maybe if one person reads this and stops before they cross that line, David's suffering will mean something. This is what it looks like to become the villain in your own life story. March 15, 2019. That's the day my brother David got the diagnosis. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The doctor said 6 months, maybe 8 with aggressive treatment. David was 38 years old. He'd never smoked, barely drank, ran marathons. None of it mattered. I was 35. Single. Working as a software engineer in the same city. When David called me from the hospital parking lot, I could hear him trying not to cry. Jason, I need you. I took a leave of absence that afternoon. Packed a bag. Moved into their guest room that same night. Hero brother, right? That's what everyone thought. Rachel met me at the door. David's wife of 9 years. She'd been crying so hard her face was swollen. She fell into my arms. Thank God you're here. I can't do this alone. Her body pressed against mine. I felt her heartbeat. Her breath on my neck. That's the moment. That's when it started. Not with a kiss. Not with sex. With a feeling I should have killed immediately. I felt wanted. David and Rachel had 2 kids. Emma, 7 years old, obsessed with drawing horses. Jake, 5, who carried a stuffed dinosaur everywhere. Perfect kids. The kind that make you believe the world isn't completely screwed. The first week, I was actually helpful. I drove David to appointments. Researched treatment options. Played with the kids while Rachel worked. Made dinner. Did laundry. All the shit a good brother does. David pulled me aside on day 8. Jason, I need to tell you something. His voice was already weaker. The cancer was fast. If I don't make it, I need you to promise me you'll take care of them. Rachel, Emma, Jake. Promise me they won't be alone. I looked my brother in his terrified eyes and promised. He hugged me. Started crying. You're the best brother in the world. I don't know what I'd do without you. I hugged him back and felt nothing but my own screwed ego inflating. Week 3, Rachel broke down in the kitchen at 1 a.m. I'd come downstairs for water. She was sitting in the dark, sobbing so hard she was shaking. I sat next to her. Put my arm around her shoulders. He's dying, she whispered. My husband is dying and I can't stop it. I'm going to be 36 years old and alone with 2 kids and I don't know how to do this. You're not alone. I'm here. She looked at me. Her eyes were red and desperate and searching for anything that didn't feel like death. Promise me you won't leave too. I promise. She leaned her head on my shoulder. We sat like that for 20 minutes. My dick was hard the entire time. I'm not blaming biology. I'm telling you the truth. My brother was upstairs dying, his wife was breaking down, and all I could think about was how soft her hair smelled and how long it had been since anyone needed me like this. Week 5, David started sleeping 16 hours a day. The chemo was brutal. He'd wake up, vomit, take more pills, sleep again. When he was awake, he was in so much pain he could barely speak. Rachel and I started eating dinner alone after the kids went to bed. We'd talk about everything except David. Her childhood. My failed relationships. Movies. Music. Anything to pretend we weren't in a house where someone was slowly dissolving. She laughed at my jokes. Actually laughed. I hadn't heard that sound in weeks. I made her laugh again. And again. Because it felt like winning. Week 7, I kissed her. David was in the hospital overnight for fluids. Rachel had just put the kids to bed. We were cleaning up dinner. She was washing dishes. I was drying. She said something about being grateful I was there. About how she didn't think she could survive this without me. I turned her around. Looked at her. Saw every wall crumbling in real time. And I kissed her. She kissed back. We screwed on the kitchen counter. Hard. Desperate. The kind of sex that has nothing to do with love and everything to do with feeling alive when death is in the next room. When we finished, she started crying. We can't do this again. I know. We did it again the next night. And the night after that. And every chance we got for the next 4 months. I'm not going to lie and say it felt wrong. It felt incredible. It felt like I'd won something my perfect older brother couldn't have. Like for once in my life, I wasn't living in David's shadow. Every time Rachel texted, "Can you come over?" Every time she touched my hand when David wasn't looking, every time we snuck away while he slept upstairs, I felt powerful. I was a screwed monster, and I loved every second of it. We got sloppy. Started texting constantly. Sending photos. Planning when we could be alone. She saved my number as Plumber. I saved hers as Jim from Jim. We thought we were so screwed smart. Week 18, David could barely get out of bed. Hospice had started. A nurse came every day. The kids knew Daddy was dying soon. Emma drew a picture of heaven and asked if Daddy would like it there. Jake stopped talking almost completely. And I was screwed their mother in the basement while they watched cartoons upstairs. Rachel would sit with David for hours, holding his hand, reading to him, telling him she loved him. Then she'd come downstairs and meet me in the garage. I'd help David to the bathroom because he was too weak to walk alone. He'd thank me, tears in his eyes, grateful his little brother was sacrificing so much. Then I'd text his wife about how I couldn't wait to taste her again. David talked about me constantly in those final weeks. Jason's my hero, he told the hospice nurse. Best brother in the world. You're lucky, he told Rachel one afternoon when I brought him water. After I'm gone, you'll have Jason. He'll take care of you. I can die knowing you're not alone. She squeezed his hand and said, I know. Then she squeezed my hand under the table where he couldn't see. November 3, 2019. The day everything exploded. I was at my apartment when my phone rang. Rachel. Screaming. He knows. Oh my God, Jason, he knows everything. My blood turned to ice. What happened? He asked for my phone. Wanted to see photos of Jake's birthday last week. I just handed it to him. I forgot about this morning's texts. That morning, I'd sent, last night was unbelievable. I need you again. I love you so screwed much. She'd replied, I can't stop thinking about you. I hate that I love this. I love you too. David read that message. Then he scrolled back. And back. And back. 4 months of messages. Everything. Plans. Photos. Explicit details about what we'd done in his house, in his bed, while he was dying 20 feet away. He read every single word. Rachel said he didn't scream. Didn't throw the phone. Just read in complete silence for 37 minutes while she stood frozen, watching her dying husband absorb the full scale of our betrayal. Then he handed the phone back. Get out of my room. His voice was calm. Steady. Terrifying. David, please. Get out. I broke traffic laws getting there. Ran through the front door. Sprinted upstairs. The hospice nurse had left for lunch. We were alone. David was propped up in bed. He'd lost 70 pounds. His skin was gray. His eyes were sunken. But when he looked at me, those eyes were sharp. Clear. Completely aware. David. Don't. His voice was barely a whisper, but it cut like a blade. Don't say my name. You don't get to say my name anymore. Please, let me explain. Explain what? How you've been screwed my wife while I've been dying. How you promised to take care of my family after I'm gone but couldn't wait until I'm actually dead. Tears were streaming down his skeletal face. I read everything, Jason. Every text. Every plan. Every time you two talked about how hard it was to pretend around me. Messages you sent 10 minutes after leaving my bedside. Photos you took in my bed. I couldn't speak. Couldn't move. Couldn't do anything but stand there and watch my brother die a second death. Do you know what the worst part is? His voice cracked. It's not that you betrayed me. People betray each other every day. It's that you made me die believing I had someone. That my family would be protected. That my little brother loved me. I do love you. Stop. He tried to yell but started coughing violently. Blood spattered on his hand. When he could breathe again, he continued. I've been in agony for months. The pain is unbearable. But I kept fighting. Kept holding on. You know why? Because I thought I was leaving them with you. I thought my kids would have their uncle. I thought Rachel would have someone to lean on. I thought I could die in peace knowing they weren't alone. His whole body was shaking. But you weren't planning to take care of them after I died. You were already taking what you wanted while I was still breathing. David, I'm sorry. You're not sorry. You're caught. There's a difference. He closed his eyes. Get out of my house. Don't come to my funeral. Don't ever contact Rachel or my children again. You're not my brother anymore. You're just the man who made sure I died knowing that everyone I loved betrayed me. You can't mean. I have maybe 2 days left to live. Maybe less. And I'm going to spend them knowing that the person I loved most in the world destroyed me when I was too weak to fight back. His eyes opened. Met mine one final time. Get the mess out before I use my last breath to make sure everyone knows what you are. I stood there. Broken. Wanting to fall on my knees. Wanting to somehow undo everything. But time doesn't work that way. I walked out. David died the next morning at 6:23 a.m. 23 hours after he found out. 23 hours of dying with a broken heart. Rachel called me, hysterical. He's gone. I didn't go. David had made his wishes clear. The hospice nurse told Rachel that David had been awake most of the night. That at 4:17 a.m., he'd asked her to write something down because his hands were too weak. His final words, dictated while the morphine barely controlled his pain. Tell my kids their daddy loved them more than life itself. Tell Rachel I forgive her because holding on to hate isn't worth my last hours. Tell Jason he didn't kill me. The cancer did that. But he made sure I died in agony instead of peace. And that's something God will have to sort out, because I can't. He died 2 hours and 6 minutes later. I wasn't allowed at the funeral. David's best friend Marcus called me. Show your face tomorrow and I will beat you unconscious in front of everyone. That's a promise. David's last wish was that you stay away. We're honoring it. I drove there anyway. Parked 4 blocks away. Watched from behind a tree line. The crowd was massive. David had been loved. Really loved. Emma and Jake stood by the casket, holding Rachel's hands. Emma was sobbing. Jake just stared, silent, clutching his dinosaur. They lowered my brother into the ground while I hid in the trees like the coward I am. No one looked for me. Because I wasn't family anymore. I was just the monster in the story they'd tell for years. 4 days after I watched them bury my brother from the trees, Rachel appeared at my apartment door. For one insane moment, I thought she'd come to be with me. That now that David was gone, we could finally be together. I was screwed delusional. She stood in my doorway looking 10 years older than she had a month ago. Her eyes were empty. Dead. I need to say something and then I never want to see you again. Rachel. Shut up. You don't get to talk. I shut up. The night before David died, after you left, I went back to his room. He was awake. In so much pain he was whimpering. And you know what he said to me? She started crying. Not sad crying. Angry crying. He said, I'm glad I know the truth. At least I'm not dying believing a lie. Then he looked at me and said, you were the love of my life. And I'll die knowing I wasn't yours. Her voice broke completely. Those were the last words my husband said to me. Not I love you. Not take care of our kids. Just the knowledge that he wasn't enough. That I threw him away while he was dying. Rachel, I'm so sorry. I don't care if you're sorry. Sorry doesn't give Emma her father back. Sorry doesn't erase the fact that Jake's last memory of his daddy is him crying in bed because his wife and brother destroyed him. She was screaming now. I'd never heard her scream before. We didn't love each other, Jason. I used you to escape reality and you used me to finally feel like you'd won something over your perfect brother. We're both disgusting. But I have to look at my kids every day knowing what I did. You just get to disappear. She threw an envelope at my chest. It hit me and fell to the floor. David wrote that at 3 a.m. the night he died. He made the nurse promise to give it to me to give to you. Read it. Don't read it. I don't care. Just stay the mess away from my family. She turned and walked away. I picked up the envelope with shaking hands. It took me 8 days to open it. When I finally did, I had to read it 3 times before my brain would process the words. Jason. I'm writing this at 3:17 a.m. The pain is so bad I can barely think, but I need to say this while I still can. I forgive you. Not because you deserve it. Not because what you did was okay. But because I have maybe 18 hours left on this earth and I refuse to spend them hating my little brother. But you need to understand what you took from me. You didn't just sleep with my wife. You didn't just betray my trust. You destroyed the one thing I needed to die in peace. I spent 9 months fighting this cancer. 9 months of agony. Vomiting blood. Losing my body piece by piece. Knowing I'd never see my kids graduate or get married or have children. Knowing I'd never grow old with Rachel. The only thing that made it bearable was believing they'd be okay. That you'd be there. That my family was protected. You took that from me. Now I get to die knowing my wife was screwed my brother in my bed while I was too weak to walk. Knowing you sent her messages about how good it felt while I was downstairs vomiting from chemo. Knowing every promise you made was a lie. I thought I knew what hell was. Cancer, pain, dying at 38. But hell is dying knowing the person you loved most saw you as an obstacle instead of a brother. You didn't wait for me to die to take my place. You just took it while I was still breathing. I hope you build a good life, Jason. I hope you find someone who loves you. I hope you become the man I always thought you were. But I'll die knowing you never were that man. I'll die knowing you destroyed me when I was defenseless. And I'll die knowing that Emma and Jake's last memories of their father will be tainted by this. That's your legacy. Not the brother who helped. The brother who betrayed. I forgive you because I have too. But I'll never understand how you could do this to someone you claim to love. David. P.S. Don't contact Rachel again. Don't try to see the kids. That's the last thing I'm asking you. If you ever loved me, honor this. I read that letter and understood what I'd become. Not a man who made a mistake. A man who chose cruelty and called it love. I tried calling Rachel anyway. Blocked. I texted. Blocked. I drove to the house 3 days later. David's father answered. He was 67 years old and looked like he wanted to kill me with his bare hands. You have 10 seconds before I call the police. I just want to talk to Rachel. Rachel doesn't want to see you. Neither do David's kids. Neither do any of us. You broke my son's heart while he was dying. You don't get to be part of this family anymore. Please, I need to explain. My son is dead. He died knowing his brother betrayed him in the cruelest way possible. There's nothing to explain. There's just you, leaving, right now. I left. 1 week later, I was fired. Our company was small. Word had spread about what I'd done. My project lead requested a transfer. 2 other engineers complained to HR about feeling uncomfortable working with me. My manager called me in. Jason, I'm not going to pretend this is about performance. What you did. People are talking. It's affecting team morale. I think it's best if you pursue other opportunities. I was escorted out that afternoon. I couldn't find another job in the city. Every interview ended the same way. They'd Google my name. Find the Reddit post someone had made about the situation. Suddenly they weren't hiring anymore. I moved back to our hometown. Big mistake. Everyone there knew David. Everyone had heard what happened at the funeral. What I'd done. I couldn't buy groceries without people staring. Couldn't go to a bar without conversation stopping when I walked in. One night, drunk and desperate, I showed up at Rachel's house at 11:47 p.m. Banged on the door. The police were there in 4 minutes. I spent the night in jail. Got slapped with a restraining order the next morning. I wasn't allowed within 1,000 feet of Rachel, Emma, Jake, or any member of David's family. I'd been legally banned from the people I destroyed. I moved 3 hours away. Got a job in construction. Minimum wage. Manual labor. Nobody asked questions. I tried dating. Met a woman named Sarah. Told her I had a brother who died but left out the details. 4 months in, she asked why I never talked about him. I broke down and told her everything. She left that night. Texted me the next day, I can't be with someone who could do that to their own brother. Don't contact me again. After that, I stopped trying. 1 year after David died, I saw Rachel's Facebook post. Her privacy settings had changed. She'd made it public. A photo of Emma and Jake at the park. Both smiling despite everything. Caption, 1 year without their daddy. We miss him every single day. But we're finding joy again because David would want that for his babies. He loved them so much. 427 comments. All support. All love. People sharing memories of David. I wasn't mentioned once. I'd been erased from the family history. Like I never existed. 2 years later, Rachel got remarried. His name was Tom. Good guy from the photos. Steady job. Kind eyes. The wedding pictures showed him playing with Emma and Jake, all 3 of them laughing. They looked like a family. A real family. Rachel looked happy. Actually happy. Not the desperate, broken happiness she'd fake with me. I felt nothing. Just emptiness. Just recognition that she'd moved on to something real while I stayed frozen in the moment I destroyed everything. 3 years after David died, Emma posted on Instagram. She was 10. A drawing of her dad. Caption, I miss you, Daddy. Tom is nice, but I wish you were here. Emma barely remembered David now. Her memories were fading. Being replaced by Tom. By a stepfather who actually deserved the title. David had been erased from his own daughter's mind. And I had made that happen. 5 years later, I saw Jake's middle school graduation photo. He was 13. Looked just like David. Tom was in the photo, arm around Jake's shoulders. Rachel on the other side. Emma next to them. They looked complete. David wasn't mentioned in the caption. I drove to David's grave last month. November 3rd. 5-year anniversary of the day he found out. Fresh flowers were there. Photos of Emma and Jake, current ones. A small note from Rachel, we still love you. We still miss you. But we're okay now. You'd be proud of them. The headstone read, David Michael Bennett. Beloved husband, father, and son. Forever in our hearts. They'd removed brother. I stood there for 3 hours. Wanting to apologize to a piece of stone. Wanting to explain to a dead man who couldn't hear me anyway. But there was nothing to say. I go to therapy twice a week now. My therapist says I have complex grief and unprocessed trauma. But I'm not traumatized. I'm guilty. Trauma is what happens to you. Guilt is what you earn. I earned every sleepless night. Every lonely meal. Every birthday I spend alone. Every holiday where nobody calls. I'm 43 years old. I work construction. I live in a studio apartment. I have no family. No real friends. No one who loves me. This is my life. This is what I deserve. David died 5 years ago knowing his brother destroyed him. Emma and Jake barely remember their father. Rachel rebuilt her life with a man who actually deserves her. And I'm still here. Still breathing. Still living in the grave I dug. Last week, I got a message request on Facebook. From Emma. She's 12 now. Hi. Are you my Uncle Jason? I found some old photos of you and my dad. You look happy together. What happened? Why don't you visit? I stared at that message for 4 days. Then I blocked her. Because what could I possibly say? How do I tell a 12-year-old that I'm the reason her father's last hours were agony? That I'm the reason she barely remembers him? That I destroyed the man she draws pictures of? Some doors should stay closed. Some graves should never be disturbed. I'm writing this because I need you to understand something. Betrayal isn't just about what you do. It's about what you take. I didn't just sleep with my brother's wife. I took his peace when he needed it most. I took his last hours and filled them with agony. I took his children's final memories of their father and tainted them forever. David forgave me before he died. But forgiveness doesn't erase what you did. It just means they found peace. And you never will. I'll die someday. Alone. Unmourned. And maybe that's justice. But David died 5 years ago surrounded by love, knowing he'd been betrayed. And I'm the reason. If you're standing at that edge, thinking about crossing that line, stop. Because you can't come back. And the people you destroy don't get to come back either. I'm 43 years old and I'm already dead. I just haven't stopped breathing yet.